Today, we are going to be tackling one particular question that I've been getting from most of our members of our community. And it's a really interesting question. And frankly speaking, if I were in your position, I would be asking the same question. The golden question is, which career path should I choose in order for me to work remotely? Which career path should I choose in order for me to travel the world without any restrictions? And frankly, that is one amongst the many reasons as to why most of us wanted to get into remote work in the first place. And I am sure it is one of the reasons as to why you want to get into the remote workspace. Aside from, of course, flexible working hours, you being the manager of your own time, you earning in foreign currency, ability to travel and work from anywhere in the world is one amongst the very top benefits that one gets to enjoy when they're working remotely. I feel like I would be doing you an injustice if I were only to share the career paths that you can strive to get into in order for you to increase the chances of working remotely or even work remotely without sharing the skills that are needed or the skills that are sought after by recruiters, especially for the people who want to work remotely. So for that reason, in this video, we're going to be talking about three things. One, are the career paths that you need to focus on in order for you to work remotely. Two, the skills that are sought after by recruiters. And three, we're going to be sharing a few vacancies that are currently being hired for remotely and worldwide. If that is something that you find interesting, why don't you go ahead and give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and hit that subscribe button. Let's dive right into it. The very first skill that I want us to talk about is communication. And if you haven't watched this video right over here that we featured a success story last week, I need you to watch this video, because if there's one takeaway that I took from that video was we all need to over communicate. And over communication, or simply put, communication can come up in different forms and in different ways. First, we need to make sure that we can actually form clear and precise sentences. That is the thing. We need to work on our sentence formulation. So when our communication needs to be clear, needs to be concise, we need to be super duper clear about the message that we intend and that we are passing across. So whether that communication is via email, whether it is on a call, whether it is on a Zoom or Loom, or it is video or Slack, your ability to express yourself clearly in a remote environment is what is going to earn you that job, and is frankly what is going to make you maintain that job. Just watch this video over here and you are going to learn more about it. So like I mentioned, communication can come up in different forms and in different ways, and we just talked about it. The reason as to why we need to communicate and overly communicate is that I find as Africans, and perhaps this is just a Kenyan thing, but I highly doubt it, I had to learn the hard way that when your work is not going to speak for itself. So you need to do the work, and you also need to broadcast your work. Perhaps this is just a Kenyan thing or an African thing, but I highly doubt it, because I have seen also African Americans struggle with this. One myth that we've been sold is that your work is going to speak for itself, which is a huge lie. You need to do double the work per se. So you need to do the work, make sure that you're doing an exceptional work, and two, you need to broadcast the exceptional work that you are doing. Your work is not going to speak for itself. The other thing that you need to work on is your presentation skills, which is another type of communication, right? Because you're going to find yourself in environments or in meetings with CFOs, CTOs, and you need to actually pass the message or your recommendations in those meetings, or you need to actually express yourself very clearly. So if you don't know how to do like a proper slide deck, now would be the time for you to start kind of practicing on that. Two, you need to learn how to articulate your words properly and actually pass on the message as you had intended to. The number three skill that you need to work on is, of course, working on data-driven decisions, or any recommendation that you're coming up with, any solution that you're bringing forth needs to be backed up by data. So all this is encompassed under communication. They want to see data behind every solution that you bring forth. They want to see data behind every recommendation that you bring forth. And you need to work on your presentation skills once again, and you need to overly communicate. So that is skill number one. communication skills. Next is time management. And I cannot overstress the importance of making sure that you actually get your job done when you're supposed to get it done and that you actually meet deadlines. Because with the boss not overlooking your shoulder, you need to be your own manager of your time. And you need to respect your time so that other people can actually gain trust in your capability of working independently and actually keeping time. So you need to work on prioritizing your tasks and responsibilities, as well as, once again, meeting deadlines. A tool that I use on my day to day is actually Asana, which is a project management tool, but you don't have to use Asana. There are other project management tools like Trello, like ClickUp, etc., etc. Get yourself one, especially if you're in the habit of procrastination like myself, and ensure that you have a planner as well as a good project management tool to help you stay on top of your game at all times. The other thing you do not want to underestimate is the power of self-motivation and discipline. Let me tell you, with no one checking your time, what time you log in, what time you log out, what time you go for lunch, what time you come back for lunch, what you need more than ever is that self-motivation and discipline to make sure that you can actually do the job and do it right. Especially in this cold weather, one thing that I struggle with is being productive in the cold weather. So I know I tend to oversleep, or I tend to like go back and snuggle. And for a very long time, I struggled with that because, to be honest, in the office, you're not going to snuggle anywhere, right? But working from the comfort of your home means that you can actually go to the next room and just get into your bed. I really did struggle with that. It would be prudent for you to start identifying which of these areas would you need to work on. Companies need people who show initiative, people who are focused. Regardless of the weather, they are able to deliver results without any supervision. If you can work independently with minimal supervision, then you have got the right skill that you need to work remotely. Skill set number 3 is tech savviness. I'm not sure if you all have been paying attention to the job adverts on our website beyondthesavannah.co.ke, because if you have been paying attention to that, you will notice that one requirement never misses, which is tech savviness. And in 2024, I don't expect to hear, can you see me? Can you hear me in a Zoom call? So we all have that back in 2020. At this stage, you should be conversant with Google Workspace, Microsoft Office, Apple Space, etc. And you also need to be conversant with video tools such as Zoom, Loom, Google Meet, communications tools such as Slack, and those are some of the more generalized tools and software that you will be needed to get acquainted with when you're working remotely. On top of all of that, you now need to look at your industry or function-specific tools and softwares. For example, in HR, we've got Lever. In marketing, we've got MailChimp. In accounting, we've got NetSuite or Xero. So what you want to do is to take some time and do a little bit of research in terms of, in your industry, which tools and softwares are currently being used, and get yourself acquainted with that. Most of these remote companies are going to be startups. And in a startup, one thing that is constant is change. And in an ever-changing environment, that comes with its own set of unexpected challenges. Hence the reason as to why agile thinkers, or people who are agile and adaptable, tend to work really, really well and tend to overperform, as opposed to people who are more comfortable with the norm and prefer a more structured environment. For that reason, companies love candidates who can actually problem solve, who can handle curveballs with ease, who are adaptable and are super comfortable with change. So one of the things that I tend to advise my clients is that constantly upskill, because when you're technically upskilling, you're learning something new each and every time. And the mere act of getting to learn something new kind of puts you into that uncomfortable zone. And the more uncomfortable you are, the more comfortable you get with change. Does it make sense? Skill number 5, which you absolutely need to have, and I always say you need to include this if you have it in your introductory video. If you don't know what introductory video is, you want to comment down below introductory video. But this is all about skills. And because remote companies hire people from across the globe, it means that their teams are actually distributed across the globe. So that means you'll be working with people from different parts of the world, where your communication style is going to be different, how we manage time is going to be different, how we handle conflict is going to be completely different. In the local context, when you look at us Kenyans, you might think that we are a very culturally diverse, culturally rich nation, which we truly are, because we've got like 47 nations, and I'm sure it's the same for other local countries in Africa. However, in the global context, We Kenyans are all the same. What comes to mind is the song by Major Tabiazawa Kenya ni da 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 da. That. So you're all the same, literally. So it's very important for you to mention this if you have worked with international and even regional companies, because it means that you already have that multicultural exposure. Now, it's not only in working, even if you schooled in a campus or a university that has that level of multicultural exposure, then you also want to mention that. There is a level of cultural sensitivity that comes when you've actually been exposed in such an environment that is going to make your settling in a little bit easier than for someone who hasn't. And like I said, remote companies don't want to teach, they want to plug and play. And to be very honest with you, once you've had the multicultural exposure, it makes collaborating with different stakeholders and different team members from across the globe a little bit easier, and it actually enhances the relationship that you're going to be forming, which is key in a remote setting. Quick recap before we get into the jobs that are currently hiring today. We've got skill number 1, communication skills, which is subdivided into 3. So 1, overly communicate, 2, presentation skills, and 3, data-driven decisions. And then we've got skill number 2, which is time management. We've got skill number 3, which is tech savviness. Skill number 4, which is adaptability. And lastly, skill number 5 is cross-cultural collaboration. And not forgetting self-motivation. So now that you know what it takes for you to work remotely, it's time for you to level up. Start by learning these skills, then update your resume. Make sure that these skills are included in your resume. And remember to update your LinkedIn profile, because God knows you need it. You need 3 things. 1 is your CV, 2 is a LinkedIn profile, and 3 is an introductory video. If you don't have those tools that you need to start sending out applications, please, I urge you, do not start sending out applications without having those 3 done. And trust me, your remote work is far much closer than you actually think. Why don't I show you the remote companies that are currently hiring at the moment? And they're all hiring worldwide and global. So that means you and I have a shot at this. So the very first company that we are featuring today is called Luminous Fund. They are technically an NGO, particularly in the education sector, which is such a beautiful thing that they're doing and such impactful work that they're actually engaged in. They believe that every child should have access to education, regardless of their socioeconomic status in the world. That is essentially what they're doing. They're currently hiring for 3 particular roles. 1 is a program manager. This is particularly in Ethiopia. So hold up, the other 3 are actually fully remote and global. They're hiring for a program and grants manager that will earn you anything between 50,000 to 90,000 US dollars annually. They're also hiring for a senior communications manager, but this is temporary. So this is for a period of 1 year, and technically you're coming to relieve someone who is going on maternity. I guess that is so normal in the NGO space. Then the other role that they're hiring for is a senior program analyst who is going to be focused in teaching and learning. So I guess this is really, really cool for teachers, and I actually hadn't thought about that. So if you're a teacher with project management skills or even program management skills, then you want to head on over to our website and just check out these opportunities, because I think that you would be more qualified for these opportunities than any other person. So the next company that we're featuring today is called Trustona Limited, and they're hiring for 6 amazing opportunities, which includes a personal assistant role. They're currently looking for people with diverse backgrounds. It says so on their website, to actually join their team. So like I mentioned, they're hiring for a personal assistant role. They're also hiring for an email marketing specialist role, a conversion optimization specialist role, or a CRO, a Facebook marketing specialist role, which is fully remote, a video actor or vlogger, I know, and get this, a junior editorial assistant. All these roles are hiring remotely, so check them out on our website. Then we've got ENS Labs, or ENS Labs, which is currently hiring for 6 remote opportunities. We've got a software engineer, a developer relations lead, a front-end developer, a functional tester, a technical writer, a product manager, and a product designer. So if any of these roles interest you, I want you to head on over to our website, beyondthesavannah.ca.ke, and don't forget to comment down below which skill you're going to be learning first and how first do you intend on learning it. And as always, I wish you nothing but all the very best in your job hunts, and I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.